revolution started, you know, really, it was from the internet, technically. Yes, sir, up top.
What percentage of the young people speak English? It seems like everybody spoke English.
Yeah, in the Middle East, there are approximately 300 million people there, and I'd say, well, the youth in the whole Middle East, I don't know the exact statistic, but there's roughly 75% under the age of 30. So I'd say probably 90% of Arabs speak or understand or know a little bit of English. Yeah, I mean, if you go to Egypt, it's required. You go to American universities in Beirut, Egypt, Saudi, Kuwait. There are American universities all over the Middle East where it's a required second language. And just like in our film, you know, that was the sort of reason we were doing, we made the film, was I was traveling back and forth to the Middle East. Every time I come back to LA, my American comedian friends would say, what were you doing in the Middle East? And I'd say I was doing comedy shows. So like, oh, which military base? I was like, oh, they were actually known for Arabs in the theaters. And they're like, in English? I'm like, yeah, there was in English. And they get it? I'm like, yeah, they actually get it. So this was a 72-minute answer to a lot of people's questions, basically. But yeah, most people speak English over there. McDonald's, Nike, cigarettes, Levi's. Harley Davidson. That was in Saudi Arabia, yeah, the Riyadh chapter. That's where it is. Who would have known in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Harley Davidson, motorcade. And the great thing was, is I have my handy-dandy kick-ass producer, Taylor, who's this 6'3" white guy from Little Rock, Arkansas. Follow me around with his camera. And fearless. He fit right in. He had a tan back then. Hi.
Would you say that disinformation was the inspiration for making the documentary?
Was what? I'm sorry?
Disinformation, people's information about the Middle East?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was really strictly the only reason. Look, I'm American, I'm proud to be American, but my roots are strong. So, you know, anybody who's from a Arab American or Italian American, Mexican American, you know, any sort of cross-cultural exchange that you have, you always feel that sense of wanting to connect with your roots. And I've always felt connected with my roots, but I always felt like there was a disconnect when I would try to talk to people about it, because they always just listen to the news or watch the news, so there's a very skewed vision of the Middle East, and it would always kind of make me disappointed or depressed when I'd hear about people's visions or thoughts of the Middle East, and I was like, you gotta visit, you gotta see it for yourself, you know. And a lot of people would say, oh, no, let's kill them all, let God sort them out. And I've heard that quite a bit, and I was like, no, you can't kill them all, let God sort them out. It's our responsibility to sort out the bad from the good. So, yeah, the doc was really meant for people to be sort of educated in a light-hearted way, because you always see politics and religion and information being, you know, shoved down your throat, whereas if you come with it with a point of view and a little bit of light, laughter, and humility, then it's easier to digest, I think. One more question? We do two?
Talk about your ability to film. Did you need permission from a lot of people, or were there barriers to filming?
What happens in the Middle East stays in the Middle East. We didn't, yeah, I mean, some places yes, some places no. You know, like when we went to the pyramids and our camera guys couldn't come in with the cameras, so I had my little handheld camera, and I got the big Greek Canadian guy in the camel. You know,
I was being detained. I was detained at the time while they were inspecting the camera, and that's why I had to do the handicap.
Yeah, I mean, some places, there aren't any real, like, copyright rules in the Middle East. I still call it the Wild East. It's a little bit unorthodox in the sense that release forms and things like that don't really exist because you can't. The legal system doesn't match over there. You can't really sue. Like the woman in Egypt who was like, "Hey, Alibaba," and all that stuff. Like she wanted a pack of cigarettes and $100 to be in our movie, so we gave her $100 and a pack of cigarettes. Can you take one more? Who had one up top? Hi.
You get your comedy, I think, from your father. You look like him too. Can this film, this fantastic film, could it get a little wider audience, maybe?
Well, two-part question. My dad thinks he needs an agent now. I'm not even joking. We premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival, which is Robert De Niro's film festival, right? So we met De Niro. He came to our after-party screening, and he was really excited about the film and the whole idea of the cross-cultural message, because 9/11, New York, Tribeca, that's sort of why they started their festival. And when I met De Niro, I was introduced. They were like, "Mr. De Niro, this is Ahmed Ahmed, the director of Just Like Us. Mr. Ahmed, this is De Niro, or Mr. Robert De Niro." And he looked at me and he was like, "I liked your movie, it was good. It's good." I was like, "Oh, great, thank you. It's an honor to be here." He's like, "I've been to Egypt before." I go, "Yeah, which part?" Around. Like, don't ask too many questions or I'm gonna whack you. So my dad was standing right next to me and I'm like, "Hey Dad, Mr. De Niro, can I introduce you to my father, Abu Bakr Ahmed?" And he's like, yeah, of course. And so I go to my dad, who has no idea who De Niro is, because he doesn't watch American television or movies. So I'm like, "Dad, I'm going to introduce you to Robert De Niro. It's his film festival." And my dad goes, "Yes, let him meet me. Let him meet me." You're going to meet him. So they met, and there was this whole thing, and De Niro kind of embraced my dad, and he looked at me, and he's like, "I love your dad, but I got no clue what he's saying." And so my dad's walking around the after party telling all his friends, "I just met Johnny De Niro. He's a good guy. Bobby De Niro." But the second part of the question is, we're actually releasing, we have some flyers, I think, when you walk out, little posters. We're releasing in Minneapolis June 17th weekend, right? Landmark Theaters. The Lagoon. Right? So tell your friends. White people are welcome. We love you. Yeah, we have a Just Like Us, the movie Facebook page. There's a website. It's called justlikeusthemovie.com. There's Twitter. When you walk out, we'll give you our little card posters. But feel free to jump on the email list, and we'll let you know about our June release. And please tell your friends. And can we take one more? Is that all right? Yes, sir.
How would you rate Minneapolis as far as comedy shows comparing? I mean, I actually got the impression that you did not expect this audience. So, but I heard from some, amateurs that it rates pretty good comparing to other cities nationwide.
We're thrilled. This is exciting. I'm gonna talk about it, and we did a show. We did an Access to Evil comedy show when we were still together in 2006 at the Guthrie Theater. That was the last time I was here. So I didn't. But I was doing it with Access to Evil was a whole different thing. Our film was a more cross-cultural, international, I think, dialogue happening. So we weren't sure. We were like, "Hey, they accepted us in this festival. We're grateful. We flew out here. We got in this afternoon." And to show up and to have, this type of turnout was a huge, pleasure. And so we're grateful for that. And, we hope you enjoyed the film. We hope you tell your friends for the June 17th release. And really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming out. And we'll be up top passing out our little flyers and stuff for the website. And please make sure and fill out Audience Choice Awards, or I'll hijack you.
Thank you, folks, and another thanks to the great folks at the Marquette. Also, let you know, on May 4th, we've got another film.